Welcome back, everyone. This is LanceScurvX of the Scurv Podcast, LanceScurvX.com. The other day, I spoke about Madonna and how she needs to possibly not change her style, but kind of lighten up since she's a little older and understand that she can't be that person she used to be. If she wants to perform, fine. But showing a body at that age and stuff didn't really click with me. Many disagreed, but that's just the way I felt. Now, I got into a discussion. Got to give a shout out to Sweetberry. And we were speaking about performers at a certain age, going on and pushing themselves. And so that's something I wanted to go a little more in depth on. What does decades of performing really do to the human body? Recently, we had Lionel Richie have to stop a performance and go to the hospital. Rod Stewart, similar situation. Charlie Wilson really recently had a stroke. I'm not sure if it was at a performance, but what I'm saying is that there are certain factors that lead to this when you get older and you're still performing. These guys have been going for a long time. But see, the applause comes with a price. And most people dream about fame because they only see the finished product. They see the sold out concerts, the standing ovations, the luxury hotels, the expensive clothes, the private jets, and the millions of fans who scream every time a favorite performer steps onto the stage. So from the outside, it looks like the perfect life. It appears to be a life filled with excitement, admiration, and endless rewards. But see, what many people fail to understand is that what happens under those bright lights is only a tiny fraction of the story. Behind every unforgettable performance is a body that has been pushed, a mind that has been stretched, and a spirit that has often been tested in ways the audience will never fully understand. There's something almost unfair about the expectations placed on legendary entertainers. Once they have created music, movies, or performances that become part of people's lives, those memories never grow old in the minds of the audience. A song recorded 40 or 50 years ago still sounds as fresh today as it did when it first came through the speakers. Yet the person who recorded it has continued to age every single day. Their knees have aged. Their back has aged. Their voice has aged. Their heart has aged. But many fans continue to expect yesterday's performance from today's body. That's one of the greatest contradictions in the entertainment world. The art remains young, while the artist grows old. A recording captures a single moment in time forever, but the human being who created it continues living through decades of stress, sacrifice, disappointment, triumph, injury, recovery, and relentless expectations. The audience rarely thinks about these years that pass by and those years in between because they're focused on the memories attached to the songs, the films, or the performances that became part of their own lives. And they can get quite selfish. So when news breaks that another legendary performer has experienced a health scare or has been forced to postpone a performance, many people react with surprise, Some even criticize them for slowing down or not sounding like they once did. What often gets forgotten is that these individuals have spent decades asking their bodies to do extraordinary things over and over again, long before the audience arrives. There have been rehearsals, sound checks, interviews, flights across continents all over the world, sleepless nights, changing time zones, that's a big one, and the emotional responsibility of carrying the expectations of thousands of people who came to see them deliver magic once again. It's a heavy price. This is why I believe we need to stop looking at entertainers as though they're somehow immune to the limits of the human body. They may possess extraordinary talent, but talent does not erase aging. Success does not eliminate exhaustion. Wealth does not prevent illness. Fame does not stop the clock. If anything, the pressures of maintaining a legendary career often accelerate the physical and emotional demands placed on those who have spent their lives giving pieces of themselves to the world. Again, we can be very selfish, and the spotlight never turns off. One of the biggest misconceptions about fame is that the work begins when the curtain rises and ends when the audience goes home. Nothing could be further from the truth. The performance itself is often the easiest part of an entertainer's day because everything leading up to those 2 hours requires tremendous preparation. Every movement has been rehearsed. Every song has been practiced countless times. Every technical detail has been reviewed repeatedly. What the audience experiences as effortless perfection is usually the result of countless hours of invisible labor. But we don't consider that now, do we? We pay our ticket and we just want to have it right in front of us. Perfect. Then there's the travel. Imagine boarding airplanes week after week, month after month, year after year. Imagine waking up in hotel rooms where you have to remind yourself what city you're in before opening the curtains. Imagine eating meals whenever your schedule allows, rather than when your body naturally needs nourishment. Sleep becomes inconsistent. Exercise becomes difficult to maintain. Time with family becomes something that must be scheduled months in advance. Holidays are often spent entertaining strangers instead of embracing loved ones. What about the emotional toll that way? The body keeps score, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. Constant changes in climate, attitude, humidity, and time zones affect sleep, digestion, blood pressure, energy levels, and immune function. Add the demands of performing under hot stage lights while moving across large stages, singing, dancing, acting, or delivering emotionally intense performances, and the strain becomes enormous. Even those who appear energetic on stage may return backstage completely drained, needing every ounce of strength just to prepare for the next city on the schedule. Most of us don't think about that now, do we? Many people assume that expensive accommodations somehow erase these hardships. They do not. A luxury hotel room cannot replace consistent sleep. A private jet cannot eliminate fatigue. Gourmet meals cannot undo years of physical wear and tear. Money can certainly make travel more comfortable, but it can't remove the biological realities that every human being eventually faces. The body recognizes stress, not celebrity status. Maybe that's why I've developed an even greater respect for those who have spent decades in entertainment, whether they're singers, actors, musicians, comedians, or performers of any kind. They have survived in one of the most demanding professions imaginable. Every appearance becomes another examination before millions of judges. Every performance is compared to the past. Every mistake is recorded forever. Every success raises expectations even higher. Few careers require a person to relive their greatest achievements while simultaneously proving they still deserve the applause they earned decades ago. So when you see Michael Jackson, when he was alive, rehearse so hard to bring perfection, and pretty much, he delivered. Imagine the stress. No wonder he wanted to be quiet and away from most people. Because there's a weight to being a living memory. You see, there comes a point in many legendary careers when a performer is no longer simply entertaining an audience. They become a living memory. People are not just buying a ticket to hear songs or watch a show. They're purchasing an opportunity to reconnect with their youth, their first love, family road trips, high school dances, weddings, graduations, and countless personal moments that those performances help define. It's the truth. That emotional responsibility is enormous because the audience is asking one human being to recreate feelings that have lived inside of them for decades. It's an energy exchange, but we don't see that. What makes this even more demanding is that the performer often carries memories of their own. Let's not forget that. They remember the years of struggle before success arrived. They remember sleeping on buses, driving through the night, performing in half-empty venues, wondering if anyone would ever know their name. Then fame arrived, bringing incredible opportunities, but also unimaginable pressure. Success solved many problems while creating entirely new ones that few outsiders could ever understand. As the years pass, every concert becomes more than another performance. It becomes another chapter in a lifelong commitment to people who have invested emotionally in an artist's work. That commitment deserves far more appreciation than it often receives because every standing ovation comes after decades of sacrifice that the audience never witnessed. The spotlight does shine brightly, but it also casts very long shadows, personal shadows that most of us can't comprehend or will never, ever see. When the curtain falls, the work isn't over. There's something that audiences almost never witness after the final encore. They don't see the performer walking backstage on aching knees, a strained back, swollen feet, or a voice that has been pushed to the limit to the point where they can't even talk. They don't hear the coughing that may follow hours of singing or speaking. They don't see the medical staff waiting nearby, the physical therapist helping loosen tight muscles, or the quiet moments when an exhausted entertainer simply sits in silence because there is nothing left to give. But we don't think about that. For many performers, the show does not end when the lights go out. It merely changes locations. While the audience is driving home laughing with friends about their favorite songs or unforgettable moments, the artist is often heading to another airport, another hotel, another interview, another rehearsal, or another city where thousands of people are waiting for the exact same level of excellence the very next night. This cycle repeats itself over and over and over and over until the days begin to blur together. Before long, weeks become months, months become years, and years become decades, and time flies. The human body was never designed to live under a constant cycle of travel, excitement, recovery, and immediate repetition. Eventually, every mile traveled leaves a mark. Every sleepless night takes something away. Every performance asks the muscles, joints, lungs, heart, and mind to reach deep into their reserves. Those reserves are not endless. Even the strongest machine eventually begins to show signs of wear. How much more should we expect from flesh and blood? But we don't think about that. And the body never forgets. One of the greatest illusions created by entertainment is that because a performer still looks good under stage lighting, they must feel just as good. That assumption couldn't be further from the truth. Makeup can hide wrinkles. Lighting can soften imperfections. Cameras can choose flattering angles. Modern technology can enhance almost everything except the condition of the human body itself. The body remembers every sacrifice we make. It remembers years of standing under hot lights for hours at a time. It remembers dancing through pain because thousands of ticket holders came expecting a spectacular show. It remembers carrying heavy instruments, repeating physically demanding choreography, and forcing the voice to perform despite fatigue, allergies, illness, or changing weather conditions. It's a lot. Long after the applause fades away, the body quietly keeps its own record. This is why we should never be surprised when entertainers begin experiencing health challenges later in life. They've not simply aged. They've accumulated decades of physical mileage that few occupations require. Just as a luxury automobile driven hundreds of thousands of miles will eventually require major repairs, the human body also demands maintenance after years of extraordinary use. The difference is that people can replace a vehicle, but there is no replacement for the only body we will ever have. Perhaps the greatest burden isn't physical at all. It's emotional. Imagine walking onto a stage where thousands of people have already decided what they expect from you before you even say your first word. They want you to sound exactly as you did 40 years ago. They want every high note to be perfect. They want every memory they carried into the building to come alive exactly as they remember it. That's an impossible assignment. The audience has been allowed to preserve its memories in perfect condition because memories never age. The performer has continued living. Life has brought victories and disappointments, celebrations and heartbreaks, illnesses and recoveries, friendships and funerals. Every one of those experiences leaves an imprint on the face, the voice, and the spirit. Yet many fans unconsciously expect time to have respected their only favorite entertainer while treating everyone else normally. This is one of the most unfair contracts ever written, and it's one that exists without a single signature. The performer promises to keep giving. The audience hopes they never change. Time, meanwhile, keeps moving forward without asking permission from either one. But we don't realize that. Is it greed, or is it something much deeper? Whenever an older performer announces another tour or another series of appearances, there are always voices asking the same question. Why don't they just retire? Haven't they made enough money already? At first glance, that question may seem reasonable, but I believe it overlooks something far more profound. Many of these men and women have spent their entire adult lives creating, performing, and connecting with audiences. The stage is not simply where they earn a living. It's where they discovered who they are. Asking them to walk away from performing may feel, to them, like asking someone else to stop breathing the life that has defined them for decades. Certainly, there are situations where financial concerns play a role. Careers rise and fall. Fortunes are built and sometimes lost. Entire industries can change. The business side of entertainment has never guaranteed lifelong security simply because someone once reached the top. Some continue working because they genuinely need the income. Others continue because they employ large teams whose livelihoods depend on every tour, every production, and every performance. But I believe there's another force that deserves equal attention, and that's called purpose. Purpose has a remarkable ability to keep the human spirit alive. There are people who retire from successful careers only to discover that without a reason to wake up every morning, something inside them begins to fade. Performing is not merely a job for many artists. It's the language through which they have expressed their hearts for decades. It's the bridge connecting them to millions of lives they may never personally meet. Walking away from that purpose can feel like losing a part of one's own identity. But there's the dangerous power of applause. There's another truth that deserves honest discussion. Applause can become one of the most powerful emotional experiences a human being ever knows. Imagine hearing thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of people cheering your name. Imagine feeling an arena erupt because of something you created years ago that still brings joy to complete strangers. Experiences like that leave lasting impressions upon the human soul. The danger comes when applause begins to fill emotional spaces that ordinary life no longer satisfies. Everyday routines may seem unusually quiet after decades of living before massive crowds. A peaceful evening at home, while healthy and necessary, can feel strangely unfamiliar to someone who has spent a lifetime feeding off the energy of live audiences. That doesn't make them weak. It makes them merely human. This may help explain why some legendary performers continue accepting invitations to tour long after they have nothing left to prove. Their legacy is already secure. Their place in history has already been written. Yet, the connection between artist and audience is unlike almost any other relationship. Every standing ovation reminds them that their life's work still matters. Every song becomes proof that their contribution has not been forgotten. Perhaps instead of asking why they continue performing, we should begin asking what it must feel like to spend 50 years giving pieces of yourself to the world while knowing that one day your body may no longer be able to answer the calling that your heart still longs to fulfill. Perhaps the greatest lesson to come from watching legendary performers continue their careers is not about them at all. It's about us. See, we live in a culture that celebrates greatness, but often forgets the sacrifices required to achieve it. We applaud excellence without always appreciating the years of pain, discipline, disappointment, and perseverance that made excellence possible. We admire the polished performance while overlooking the thousands of unseen hours that shaped it. Somewhere along the way, we began expecting extraordinary people to somehow escape ordinary human limitations. Maybe it's time for that to change. Instead of criticizing an aging performer because they no longer move with the speed they once had, perhaps we should celebrate the fact that they are still willing to stand before us at all. Instead of comparing today's performance to one given 40 years ago, perhaps we should recognize that every appearance has become another gift from someone who has already spent a lifetime giving. Gratitude is a far healthier response than unrealistic expectation. The truth is that every standing ovation carries a hidden message. It tells the performer that their work mattered. It tells them that the songs, the movies, the laughter, the tears, and the memories they helped create have become a part of people's lives. That kind of appreciation is beautiful, but appreciation should never become pressure. Admiration should never become a burden that forces someone to ignore what their own body is desperately trying to say. There's something remarkable about watching someone continue doing what they love after 50 or 60 years. That kind of commitment cannot be measured by money alone. It can't be explained simply by fame. There has to be something deeper at work. Passion has a way of refusing to recognize birthdays. The calendar may say 70 or 80 years old, but the heart often remembers being 25. The imagination still dreams. The creative spark still burns. The desire to connect with people never completely disappears. The body may slow down, but the calling often remains just as powerful as it was decades earlier. That's why retirement means something different for creative people. For some, retirement is a reward. For others, it feels like silence. It can feel as though the very thing that gave life purpose has suddenly been taken away. Many performers continue because creating, singing, acting, and entertaining is not what they do. It's who they are. This should remind every one of us to find a purpose in life that extends beyond a paycheck. A career may eventually end. Titles may disappear. Popularity may fade. But purpose has the ability to carry a person through every season of life if it comes from a place that's genuine. One of the most beautiful realities about true greatness is that it cannot be erased by age. A legendary song does not become less meaningful because the singer's hair has turned gray. A classic performance does not lose its emotional power because the actor now walks a little slower. A championship is not taken away because the athlete no longer competes. Real legacies are built over decades, and once they're earned, they become a part of history. Maybe that's why we should stop asking whether aging performers still have something to prove. The overwhelming majority have already proven everything that needed proving years ago. They changed industries. They inspired generations. They created memories that became part of our own lives. History has already recorded their contributions. The greater question is whether we, as an audience, have learned how to honor those contributions with dignity. Have we learned to appreciate people for what they've already given instead of demanding that they continually recreate the impossible? Have we learned to respect the human being as much as we celebrate the celebrity? These are questions that extend far beyond the entertainment industry. They challenge the way we value experience, wisdom, aging, and the people who have spent their lives building something larger than themselves. Every person listening to this is traveling in one direction. None of us are moving backward. Every passing year changes our bodies in ways we cannot completely control. The difference is that most of us grow older in relative privacy. Legendary performers grow older before millions of eyes that remember them exactly as they looked decades ago. That is an extraordinary burden to carry. So the next time you hear that a beloved entertainer has postponed a show because of health concerns, or you notice they move a little slower than they once did, resist the temptation to criticize. Instead, remember the lifetime they have already spent giving the world reasons to celebrate, dance, laugh, cry, and dream. Remember that behind every famous face is a human being whose body has faithfully carried them through countless miles, performances, rehearsals, interviews, and sacrifices. The spotlight may shine brightly, but it never tells the whole story. Long after the curtains close and the crowds return home, the body continues carrying the weight of every performance that came before. Every note sung, every line spoken, every mile traveled, every handshake, every autograph, every sleepless night, and every sacrifice becomes a part of a lifelong journey that few people will ever truly understand. Perhaps that's why we should applaud a little louder, judge a little less, appreciate a little more, and never forget that the greatest legends were never superhuman. They were simply human beings who gave the world extraordinary gifts while quietly paying a price that most of us never saw. Their greatest performance may never have been the one that earned the loudest applause. It may have been finding the strength to keep walking onto that stage year after year, decade after decade, despite everything their bodies endured along the way. That deserves a standing ovation unlike any other. I hope you understand where I'm coming from with this piece, because I had to think deep about the people that I know who are actors, performers, singers, entertainers that I've known personally, and I've seen what they go through. So let's have a little empathy and appreciate the pieces of themselves that they have given to us and shared with us to make our lives a little brighter. Thanks for being here. LanceScurv out. I truly appreciate you, and I'd love for you to leave a comment on this. And always go to LanceScurvX.com for everything that we do. On to the next one. LanceScurv out. Peace.